Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Linked In. In the background you will see me playing some Saints Row 3, because I've been playing too much Guild Wars and it's the second game that my computer will explode on. And yeah, that's about it. I get in a little bit of a gang fight here and there, and I drive a go-kart, so yeah, that's a thing. Also, for those people that are new from the Total Biscuit type deal, he has sent me an apology, and I am going to say I accept it because, honestly, if you look at the picture I'm going to pull up on screen right now, it's pretty much him leaving a comment on my video. And when I read this at first, it seems like he was trying to be like a more, come on man, do something original, quit copying off of me, and he's trying to give advice, but people took it the wrong way, and everything went boom. And then later he did a apology, which is right around here, which he pretty much explains what I was thinking, and yeah, so I accept your apology, and I have actually been trying to work on this for quite a while. I was using your intro as a placeholder until I could actually make my own, which was going to be implemented with my unmechanical one this weekend, but my video's been pushed backwards because I had to deal with all this, and yeah. There was supposed to be a really awesome video tonight that I've been making new assets for, but yeah, that'll be up tomorrow. Okay, so we only have one question because last LinkedIn didn't get many people sending them in. And to send them in, please read the description below. Okay, so here is the question by Legacy. Have you played Syndra yet? Yes. If so, how is she as a champion? That's a good question. You know how Janna can move around and not get disrupted when she uses her Q? Well, most of Syndra's abilities are like that. None of her abilities actually have her stand still. So you can be walking from the top part of mid lane to the bottom part, put your Q down, and you won't even stop. So she counters a lot of people that do skill shots, mostly because she can, 1, stay behind minions and still hit you, and 2, she can essentially just destroy you from a distance. Now, her few counters are like Ziggs and Rise, because they have a lot of damage, and Ziggs, especially with his long-range attacks, can really put a dent into what she does. Now, then we can move on to her W, which is her grab, and that is amazingly fun. Now, like, you can pick up a minion that's about to be dead due to CS, or due to minions attacking each other, and you can throw it at a couple other minions, and just they explode, and you get both CSs. So she's a lot better at keeping her creep score under control because she won't lose as much. She also has a very good basic attack. As for that pickup, there's been some hilarious videos on YouTube with it already. There's one where a guy picks up red buff and takes it all the way over to blue buff, and then the red buff tries getting back to the camp, but he can't. So he just keeps walking back and forth next to blue buff, and it's hilarious. So that's really funny. Then there was another video where somebody grabbed blue buff and killed someone with it, and then they got blue buff afterwards. So what they did was they lowered the person started chasing them. They lowered them, took them by where blue buff was. They had their jungler standing there with it lowered. They picked it up and threw it on the guy and killed him. So they got a blue buff and a kill. That was hilarious. And then as for her E, which is her pushback, very small range at low level. Well, actually, at the low levels, once it hits 5, it gets the increased range. But at low levels, it's really good. It's great for utility, and it's really great for most of the uses you need it for. Pushing back opponents, CCing, and doing all the debuffs it does. At max level, it gets even stronger with a knockup along with its stun. So you're getting a Cho'Gath Rapture in a can, plus a stun, which is great. Now, all of her abilities are spammable, which means she's going to have mana issues. And I've looked into this, and I actually have a really solid build for her. Starts out going Glass Cannon, then straight into tank. And it keeps her well supplied with mana throughout the whole throughout the laning phase. And then after you get out of laning phase, you should have enough mana to or enough damage to just destroy a target in a matter of seconds, and just completely like assault one target and get away with a lot of extra mana. If not, there's a lot of optionals that work really well. Now we have her R, which is amazing, and it pretty much spawns up a ton of balls and hits one target with them. Now I've noticed a really good combo. You start off with one Q, use your W, you hit them, and you keep them slowed. And then after your cooldowns come up, you hit them with another Q, and then straight to an R. After that, they have all of those balls around them, and they're going to start to run, because that's burst damage. Then you can use your E to push all the balls toward them, doing even more damage. And by this time, your Q is going to be off cooldown one more time, and they're going to be stunned, so you can hit them again with another Q if they manage to live that long and actually get an easy kill. Her R has a lot of really good utility built into it. She has a lot of utility, a lot of damage, and a lot of everything. And I see no real issues with her, other than she's mana hungry. But with runes and items, early game, she's great with it. If you build a Rod of Ages, then you're kind of not doing her justice, because she needs to be able to spam. She needs to have a somewhat Orianna type build, and Orianna's build, the way I build her at least, she never runs out of mana, and she's ungodly tanky, and it doesn't even have a Rod of Ages in it. Now, as for laning phase, she's very strong. She can poke great with her Q. Her W is amazing for picking up CS and harassing other champions, and it's also really good for ganks. Now, I was playing a game with her, and my jungler was in the, well, bush, and he was just waiting. It was a Rengar. And I kind of let the, who was I going against? Katarina actually push me back in my lane, because her Bouncing Blade can do damage, but she can't do anything else, because I can CC her out of her ultimate if she gets close with my E. Well, I sat there, and I waited for Rengar to get in position. He got in position. I put an orb on top of her, and then I quickly just throw it right back down on top of her, and she gets CC'd up, and then Rengar jumps out, lands his Bola Strike, which is 1 second of a... This is empowered, mind you. So 1 second of a stun, and then we have... From there, we have me get ready with my E to push the ball into her so she gets stunned for a couple more seconds. She was CC'd for a good 3-4 seconds, and she almost got away. Then I landed my ultimate, and I already had 2 balls on the field at the time, so she got nuked. And that utility is great. Now, for her E, the utility is even better, because I was in the position where I was pushing on my lane really hard, and this was against Katarina still, because I started winning, and out of nowhere, their jungle Shyvana just pounces on me. I put an orb under my feet, take a couple steps back, land the push and the stun, so she goes even further back, and she's stunned for 2 seconds, and then the Katarina comes after me. I pick the orb up with the W, landed on Kat, knock her up, or, well, slow her, and managed to get away and, like, pretty much unscathed, just lack of cooldowns. And, yeah, so as for that, she's great. Now, if we can go into the scaling of her skills, they're underpowered and overpowered. Her Q is underpowered, but that's mostly for the utility for her W and her E. Her E is underpowered because it's more for utility, and her W is great with its current ratios. Now, if we go to her ultimate, well, we have some talking to do there. Her ultimate is quite literally a Darius ulti in a can, except you cannot redo it every few seconds. Now, what I mean by this is it does a massive damage to a single target and will completely obliterate you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They will just completely destroy you. And you'll have a matter of like 3 seconds to actually respond to her attacking you. I mean, you can spell shield some of the damage, or like I went against a Morgana. That's why I knew skill shot champions weren't that good. I went up against a Morgana, and, well, let's just say that she black shielded when I ulted, completely canceled it. And that was that. Now, going into mid-game, I actually was the second one to have my turret down. Now, this allowed me to roam quite easily, and after that amount of roaming, I managed to go and gank. Now, her ganks are amazing, as long as you don't give any telltale signs of what's going to happen. So what I kept doing was I put one orb in the bush, and as this was happening, the Olaf on the enemy team was pushing forward on our... I think who did we have? We had a Poppy. Our Olaf was pushing forward on the Poppy, picking at her with his axe. I'm just sitting there. I have 2 balls in the bush, and I'm actually making the third one, and then Olaf decides to go in for the killing blow. I pick one up, and I throw it at Olaf, and I manage to get off the CC. Then I blast the 2 other ones after him, hitting him with the knock-up and the stun, and then he starts retreating at this point. I land my ultimate, and then I flash next to him, so I land where all the balls do, and then by then my W is almost off cooldown, hit him with it again, land a Q on him, and he's essentially dead in a matter of seconds. And he literally got from the top bush on blue, he was on purple, so he was on the blue bush, and he barely got across the whole river length. Like, if you look at the top 2 bushes, he barely crossed over to the next one. And he was destroyed. It was kind of hilarious, especially because he popped his ulti earlier, and Poppy negated it by using her ultimate on she negated it by what's the word? She bursted him down, but she also wasted her ultimate on their jungler. Like, it was a gank, and the jungler, she CC'd him by using her ultimate, and CC'd him for as long as she could while she backed up to her turret. Well, whatever. It was a Shyvana, so there is some escaping, but anyway. Now, then I went to gank bot lane. Now, bot lane was a little bit harder because they had it warded. So what I did was I actually went into the top bush, and I kind of trapped them in there. I started spawning orbs in their Fog of War, and they don't show up on the map. So I put them in the Fog of War, and then bot lane got really aggressive and started attacking. Well, one of them went to retreat. This was the Sona support, using the awesome new arcade skin. And I pick up the orb and I just whip it at her. And then the Caitlyn, just out of nowhere, just goes toward the bush, puts down her trap, puts everything down, starts unloading on me. And I need a couple seconds for a break so I can actually get my Q and my W off of cooldown. So I push her back with my E, make up a little ground, put an orb in the bush. Keep in mind, those don't give vision, but I still put one in the bush. She walks up, in between me and the orb, I have one that's just about to expire. I ult her, push her back, and then all those orbs do their damage, and then the Graves and the Taric takes the turret and walks through. Graves dashes forward, lands collateral damage on her, and that's an easy kill. And we managed to take the turret. Now we're going into the fun part, which is late game with Syndra. So we had a 5v5, and this is where it got really good. Now, Syndra is kind of that champion that has to sit in the background during fights, but also needs to be able to not take damage. What I mean by that is she needs to... I was pretty much spawning orbs at priority targets or whoever I could pick at. Now, excuse me. Having some issues with my throat if I sound different. Anyway, so during teamfights I'd put my orbs down and there would literally be no one like they'd walk near them and all this. I'd poke at them with my E and my W, and then I finally get 3 orbs, put them in a nice shape in front of me, like in a small line, use my E, land 2 stuns hitting the Sona and the Morgana, Morgana, that was the game with Morgana, right? Yeah. So I hit the Sona and the Morgana, and I completely CC'd both of them. This is when the Graves and the Poppy just sprint in and go after the Caitlyn and the Olaf, getting them completely shut down. Now, Morg gets smart and starts ulting while those 2 are in there. Poppy has her ultimate on, so it doesn't do any of the damage until it only lands the stun. Now, what we have is me actually putting down my E on her and trying to stun her with... I put my W on her and I try to stun her with my E, but it's still on cooldown. Well, I put another orb down, so because one of them did unrefresh because it didn't land a hit, so it died. So I made another orb, land all of them on Morgana. Then the Sona starts running. I land my E, hit her, and during this, Shyvana's over there fighting against the AD carry and Poppy, and just getting completely wrecked. And I hit the Sona, and then Rengar jumps forward with his ulti Or, wait, we didn't have Rengar that... Dang it, who was that? Oh, we had a Nocturne jungle. So we had Nocturne pop his ulti and jump after the Sona and just completely destroy them. And this whole time we were under the second purple turret. And we managed to get out without even losing a single person, although Poppy was really beat up. Okay, so that's that. So if you enjoyed the content provided, leave a like. You want to stay current, subscribe, and I will talk to you all later.